Hi everyone! In this video, you will learn about Microsoft Group Policy. My name is Jasmine, and this channel is all about showing you how to become a highly paid cybersecurity, ethical hacking, or Cloud Pro fast. Before diving into the basics of group policy, let's see what it is and why it's essential for managing Windows environments. Group policy is a tool in the Windows environment that allows administrators to manage and enforce various settings for users and computers. It provides a centralized way to configure settings across an entire network, ensuring consistency and security. With group policy, administrators can enforce security policies, deploy software, customize user experiences, manage network resources, and save time by avoiding repetitive manual configurations. The next thing that you need to know is the Active Directory, which acts like a digital phone book for your Windows network, storing information about users, computers, printers, and other resources. It centralizes user authentication, so everyone logs in once with their credentials to access any authorized resource in the network. Here's where group policy comes in. It leverages this directory structure to define configurations. Imagine creating security settings, software installations, or desktop preferences just once. With group policy linked to specific user groups or departments within Active Directory, those settings are automatically applied to all members, ensuring consistency and saving administrators time and effort. Group policy separates settings into two key areas: computer configuration and user configuration. Computer configuration applies policies to the entire machine itself, regardless of the user logged in. This includes settings like security software, startup scripts, and network configurations. User configuration, on the other hand, dictates settings specific to individual users, such as desktop wallpapers, internet browser settings, and folder permissions. This distinction ensures administrators can manage the overall system environment while also tailoring individual user experiences. Next, there are three important components of group policy that you should be familiar with. The first one is group policy objects. They act as containers that store and manage all the configuration settings you want to apply to users or computers in your Windows network. The next component is group policy settings. These settings are enforced by the system administrator and cannot be changed by the user. They are intended to be strict policies that define the behavior of the system or the user environment. The third component is GP preferences. Unlike group policy settings, preferences are not enforced and can be changed by the user. They are more like guidelines rather than strict rules. By default, there is a group policy already in place. However, you can create a new one or link any of the existing group policies to the organizational units or the whole system. Now, to create a group policy, let's navigate to the Group Policy Management tab under the Tools options of Windows Server Manager. Here I have created an Active Directory forest named Skills Build. Now if I expand it, you can see I have domains, sites, group policy modeling, and results. Now if I expand the domains folder and go to skillsbuild.com, here you will see a default domain policy, and it is applied on every machine and user in the respective domain. Here in the domain, I have only one organizational unit named Operations. The number of OU depends on the size and operations of an organization. Now, if I click on the Operations organizational unit, you can see there is no group policy for it. However, I have a user added to this organizational unit, which you can see if I open my Active Directory tab. So, in this organizational unit, the default group policy is applicable. So, now, to create a group policy for this unit, right-click on it, and here you can add Create or Link a group policy. You can choose based on your preference. For instance, to create a group policy, simply click on the first option, then name the policy. Here, I have named it Operations Group Policy. Next, click on OK and the policy will be created. Now, if you click on the policy file, you will see a context menu, and if you click on the organizational unit, it will show if there is any active policy for it or not. Now, to edit the group policy, go to the Group Policy Editor and click on the Edit option in the right-click menu of the recently created policy file. Here on the left in the Group Policy Editor, you will see two types of configurations. One is related to the user, and the other is related to the computer. Both of these have group policy settings and preferences, which I have explained earlier. Here, just like the registry settings, anything that is changed in computer configuration is applied to every user that logs into that system. Furthermore, the changes in the user configuration don't apply to computer configuration and will remain with the user irrespective of the system on which they are logged in. For an illustration of group policy creation and management, let's click on the Policies option in the user configuration. Here you will see the software settings, Windows settings, and administrative templates. In the software settings, you can add any software for the user by clicking on Software Install. This is essential if there is any local software that a user can only use. The next option is Windows settings, which include log off on options, security settings, folder redirection, deployed printer, and policy-based QoS. The folder redirection allows the administrators to redirect specific user folders on local machines to a new location, typically on a network file server, thus ensuring that user data is stored on managed, backed up, and secure locations rather than on individual client computers. The administrative templates contain all the group policy settings. Here you can configure permissions for desktop, shared folders, start menu, system, control panel, and Windows components. You also have the option of getting all settings together as well. Keep in mind that any change in these configurations will only affect this organizational unit and everything in it. For each organizational unit, you have to set the configurations manually. For example, if I want to manage the group policy settings for the desktop, then I will click on Desktop. Here you can see I can do a lot of stuff like hiding applications from the desktop, restricting the drop-down feature, and more. Now, for instance, if I want to restrict the user from accessing the internet, I can hide the browser icon from the desktop and disable it. However, before doing so, let's log into that user window first. Here, as you can see, this is the pretty much basic window interface with all the bells and whistles. Now heading back to the administrator window. Here, let's hide and disable all the items on the desktop. In the pop-up window, you can see three primary options: Not Configured, which is currently selected, Enabled, and Disabled. To make this settings effect, select the enabled option and then click on Apply and then select OK. Now let's add any settings of the Start menu and taskbar. Let's say I want to add a Log Off button in the Start menu. For that, I simply enable it and apply the settings. To successfully apply these settings, group policy is to be updated, and for that launch, the command prompt with the administrator privileges. Now then run gp update /force. This will enforce the group policy settings. Once the policy is updated, you will see a message of policy update in command prompt. Now to observe the changes, let's flip to the user account by signing out from the admin account. Here you can see that all the desktop icons have disappeared, so this is how you can implement the group policy based on your preference. Further, in the administrator account, you can see the status of the group policy as well by clicking on the respective organizational unit. Till now, I have explained some of the basic settings for group policy. Now let's head toward some of the advanced settings that you can do. First of all, if I open the Operations Organizational Unit and then go to the Users, you can see in the Group Policy Inheritance tab that there are two types of policies, one of which is the explicit one that we created previously, and the other one is the inherited one. The inherited one is the default policy, so from an administrator's point of view, I might not want that policy. To remove it, simply select Block Inheritance in the right-click menu of the respective organizational unit. Now you can see that it is now removed from the Operations Organization Unit. The group policy I have created previously is only restricted to this organizational unit. However, I can create a new group policy and link it to any of the organizational units instead of manually creating it under each organizational unit. For that, go to the Group Policy Objects section. Here you can create multiple policies. To create a new group policy, click on a new option from the right-click menu, name it, and then click on OK. Next, right-click on the organizational unit to which you want to link that policy. Here I want to link this policy setting to my finance department users. Now click on the link to an existing GPO. Next, select the desired group policy for the organizational unit. Now, if I click on my finance OU, the policy is added to it. So this is how you can add any custom group policy. Coming to the default group policy, that is, as we know, created automatically. You can also edit it and make your policy settings. Here, if I go to Computer Configuration Policies, you will see 3 settings related to software, Windows, and administrative templates. Security is quite an important factor for Windows servers, especially when there are a huge number of users accessing it. So let's go to the Windows settings, and in here you have security settings. Now here there are several different settings like account policies, event logs, software restriction policies, application control policies, and more. The account policies include password policies, an account lockout policy in case there are multiple wrong password attempts, and a Kerberos policy. The Kerberos policy provides the default mechanism for authentication services and the authorization data necessary for a user to access a resource and perform tasks on that resource. Under the password policies, you can set the desired length and age of the password to make them hard to crack. Further, to make passwords more secure, you can enable password reverse encryption as well. Coming to the account policy settings, you can set the lockout period in case of any unauthorized attempt. There is also a policy for password resetting the account password after lockout as well, so you can see that there are a variety of different security settings that you can set and make your server more secure. Another thing in the Windows settings is that you can create a startup and shutdown script in which you can add the automatic launching of certain applications. So there are thousands of other settings that you can do in the group policy. Previously, I explained the blocking of inherited group policy, but once you have enforced the group default policy, the last thing that you want is that you don't want the admin of any organizational unit blocking the inherited policy. So, in that case, what you can do is go to Default or your Group Policy, and from the right-click menu, select the Enforce option. As a result, the group policy will be applied to all the organizational units. Further, no admin or any user of any organizational unit will be able to block it. Now, as a result, you can see in all the organizations this policy is enforced as I click on any of the OU. Another thing that you should be familiar with is the WMI filters, also known as Windows Management Instrumentation Filters, which act as a way to target group policy objects, GPOs, more precisely. They allow administrators to dynamically determine which computers will be affected by a specific group policy objects based on the characteristics of those computers. Traditionally, group policy objects are linked to organizational units within Active Directory. This approach can be limiting if you need to target a specific group of computers with unique characteristics beyond just organizational unit membership. Windows Management Instrumentation Filters gather information about various aspects of a computer system. By creating a Windows Management Instrumentation Filter, you can define specific criteria a computer must meet to be affected by a GPO. For instance, if there are any system-specific group policies that I want to enforce, then first I have to create a filter for such systems. Like here, I have a policy for that system having Windows 10 installed on them. So if I apply or link the group policy to the specific OU, then it will be implemented to all users, which I do not want. In that case, go to WMI Filters and then create a filter. For that, click on New and then name the filter. Let's say I name it Windows 10 Filter. Now add the query by clicking on the Add option. Next, add the line select from Win32 operating system, where version like 10.0.1% and product type is equal to 1. Here are some codes for Windows 10 and 11 versions that you can use to create WMI filters. Here, if you want to set it for Windows 11, then change the version to 10.0.2. The product type 1 is for the workstations, and product type 2 is for domain controllers. And then save the query. Now you can see that the query is created. Next, go to the respective group policy to which you want to add the filter. At the bottom of the tab, you can see the option of adding Windows Management Filters. Here, select the filter you have created. Now you can see that the filter is applied to this policy, and you are ready to link this policy to any organizational unit. There are two other options that come in group policy management. One is group policy modeling, and the other is group policy results. Group policy modeling is a feature within the Group Policy Management Console, GPMC, that allows administrators to simulate and predict the outcome of group policy settings on users and computers without actually applying them. This tool is particularly useful for planning and testing policy changes in a controlled manner, ensuring that the actual deployment of policies will not cause unexpected issues within the network environment. This proactive approach allows for preemptive identification of potential conflicts or unintended consequences before actual deployment. By testing policies in a simulated environment, group policy modeling minimizes the risk of disrupting the network or causing user frustration during a live rollout. The group policy results, on the other hand, GPR, refer to the process of determining which group policy objects, GPOs, and their corresponding settings are actually being applied to a specific user or computer in a Windows domain environment. This helps the administrators to troubleshoot issues, maintain a consistent configuration, and ultimately, ensure a more secure and manageable network. By verifying which group policy objects are applied and their actual settings, administrators can pinpoint misconfigurations that might lead to security vulnerabilities or user issues. Additionally, group policy results empowers them to identify conflicting policies and ensure a consistent user experience across the domain. This proactive approach to group policy management saves valuable time and resources in the long run. That's it for today's video. I have explained all the major concepts of Microsoft Group Policy. Let me know in the comments about this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Check out the video on the right for more content to help you develop your IT career.